Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we're going to take a look at a question from KN4ZBK. All right, and he has an antenna question. Thanks so much for your insightful lessons you've been doing. You've been a big help as I've tried to learn more about ham radio. My question today is about grounding. I have an OCF dipole up between two trees. The antenna wire is running north and south, about 6 feet away from the gable end of the home. This gable end is facing west. Instead of bringing the feeder coax to the ground, can I install my lightning arrestor at the peak of my roof and bring the feed line in through my attic? This would mean a long grounding wire, but it would keep my coax shorter. I plan to build my shack in an upstairs room of my home. Thanks for your help. Let's back this thing out so we can see the whole whiteboard. What he wants to do is this, and please understand I'm drawing this with the intent of dissuading him from doing this. Okay, he's got an off-center fed dipole, okay, and he's got the coax from this coming into the gable and then going down to his shack, which I think is on the second floor. He wants to put a lightning arrestor here and bring that down to a ground rod here. Now, the problem is that lightning has, it's a pulse type of current. So if you look at it on the oscilloscope, it looks like a very sharp single pulse, okay? And with that sharp a pulse, if you were to look at that on a spectrum analyzer, you'd get frequencies just sort of continuously going out. It's very broadband noise. It goes from about 0 hertz up to maybe UHF, okay, before it finally peters off. There's a lot of energy in there. Now, what's that going to do? It's going to turn this into an antenna. This is a dipole at a certain frequency, and there's enough lightning energy at that frequency to turn that into that. Now, at half that frequency, it'll be 0 here and then max here, and the max could be hundreds of volts. Okay, and this is why we do not use extended ground leads if we can avoid it. What should happen, let's see if I've got a different color that's dramatically different from the others. I'm going to use pink. What should happen is that this feed line should come down to a lightning arrestor here attached to the ground. Okay? And it should then, the feed line goes into the house, into the crawl space or whatever, and then finds its way to the shack. Now, in the shack, you've got a single point ground, often a little rod like this that you can connect all the grounds to from the equipment in your house. And that also has a wire going out to that single point ground. And then your utility ground on the panel here comes to a ground rod. So you run outside, number 6, stranded, THHN, bare, copper, wire, and yes, I know it's not real cheap, but you use a compression connection there and a compression connection there, and this is called bonding. Now the whole, and this wire right here can actually be buried just a little bit, or you can lay it out on the ground. You might want to bury it to get it out of sight. But the point being that when there is a lightning strike, you've got a voltage here, and everything in the shack is about the same length from it, so everything in the shack will have the same voltage. And that is what protects it from lightning. Then this right here keeps the house at the same voltage, okay? So everything stays at the same voltage. If everything goes up by 200 volts and then drops back down, the differential voltage between components is near zero, okay? So that's why we want to do it this way over here. If you do it this way right here, you're asking for trouble. I would strongly recommend coming down to here, and then that separates what's going on here in the lightning arrestor from what's going on in the shack. So I recommend against doing what you propose, and hope that you'll consider the big picture and grounding. I do have a video, Ask Dave number 8, on grounding that I believe is consistent with the ARRL book on grounding. You can get very exotic with this stuff. You don't have to, because we're hams. We don't need to spend a fortune. The commercial equipment that needs to stay up all the time. If you read the Motorola handbook on grounding for communication sites, it's quite exotic. But then again, these are the sites that need to be up all the time. Your sheriff, your ambulance, things like that need to be up all the time. Ham radio, we can do that if we want to. I would recommend doing at least this much. This up here, no. Please don't. Go ahead and bring it all the way down to the ground there. I know that's extra coax, and I know coax is $1 a foot. Think of this as an insurance policy that reduces your risk, doesn't eliminate your risk, but reduces your risk, and then you can see where it is worth it. Okay. I hope that answers the question that you have. So if you followed along in this video this far, you want to consider subscribing to this channel. Subscribing tells YouTube that this is a channel worth sharing. And you can also click on the bell, which will get you a notification, however you get your notifications from YouTube, that a new video is up. I put a new video up about every day, except on Thursdays when I have a live stream. So please subscribe. Please click like. If you would like to support this channel financially, you may do so by going to dcasler.com/support and looking for a way there that suits you. Anywhere from $1 in the tip jar to as much as you want to put in a month on Patreon. And until we next meet, 73.